So I'm in the car. Yes, I'm in the car again. But do you know what? Sometimes when you're in the car, that's when the best stories come out. So I'm going to tell you a little bit of how I went from being in school, like everybody else, a normal child in school, to owning my own tuition company. We call it tuition school because we cover more than one subject within the session. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it, and yeah, I hope this is possibly inspiring, or maybe someone that's thinking about either leaving the teaching profession or maybe their child's struggling, and maybe I can give you a few tips, a little bit of advice on what to do, and maybe this story resonates with somebody. I don't know, I just want to share my story. So I was a normal child in school. I wouldn't really call myself a normal child because I really struggled through school. I'm gonna say I actually really hated school. I hated it because I loved English, but I absolutely hated maths. I'm gonna probably say right now that I probably did have some type of dyslexia or dyscalculia, is that right? That's dyscalculia, I think so. But I just had a real problem, a real issue with numbers. I would learn it. I would learn a certain topic. I'd learn a certain subject. I'd do something where it pertains to maths, and it just wouldn't stick. I mean, honestly, it took me years to learn my times tables. I really struggled, and aside from my friends who just got it like that, I really struggled. So I really hated school because of that one subject, maths. Really struggled, really hated it. We had maths, of course, as you can imagine, more or less every day, 5 days a week. So I knew that when that subject came up, I would be bottom of the class. I would struggle away. The teacher in a class of 30 didn't really have the time or the ability or the resources to truly help me. And I just continued to struggle all the way through, and I felt like there wasn't really anybody to really help me or really understood my issues. And even when I did talk to the teacher or put up my hand, number one, I was really quiet as well, so I didn't really want to. But when I did, it was kind of like they really explained very quickly, and because of the way that they explained, bearing in mind they've got another 29 children to cater to, because they explained so quickly, I would say, yeah, I get it, I understand. And as soon as they went away, I was like, what? What was that? I didn't understand it at all. And so I struggled all the way through school, ended up hating school. And I thought to myself, you know what? I struggle in school. There's got to be so many other children just like me who are really struggling as well. And so I set my sights on becoming a school teacher. That's what I wanted to do. I says, you know what? So many other children will struggle just like me. I'm going to help them out. And that was my goal, to help children that were struggling too. And so fast forward a couple of years, I did my teacher training, did my PGCE, did it in London, then came back to Birmingham eventually. Got my certificates and whatever, and spent a couple of years in secondary, and then I went to primary because I thought it was going to be a little bit more creative, a little bit more enjoyable, a little bit more engaging, because hey, they're little kids, right? It's going to be enjoyable and creative. And then I found myself in this situation whereby we was just like rushing children through the curriculum. It wasn't about teaching these children, it was just simply about getting them through the curriculum and teaching them something. Whether or not they got it, it's time to move on, because we got 30 children here, so we just gotta crack on. And bearing in mind, like back then, they didn't even have, like most of the schools that I worked in, they didn't have a TA, which is a teacher assistant, to actually support the teachers. And also there's so many children with varied abilities. Some of them spoke very little English, some of them had ADHD, some of them had autism, and it was just this mishmash of fantastic, lovely children. But there were so many just varied needs, and one of me trying to teach them all, and of course their outcomes relied upon me teaching them adequately, which was fine. But if you think about it realistically, you're trying to teach 30 children, you're trying to get all of them to understand something, no matter their starting point. And that was just, it was overwhelming. It was so stressful. And then you have like the head teacher coming in to watch your lesson and saying, this isn't good enough, that isn't good enough, the book corner's messy. I'm saying, hey, the children have just been reading their books. Of course it's going to be messy. We've got 30 children that have been in the book corner. They're getting out books, they're reading, which is what you want them to do and which they love to do. But then you're moaning because they're not putting them back beautifully. It's not a library, it's a classroom. And sometimes, I take the children out. I remember this one time, I took the children out and we were looking at various types of triangles. And I says, right, I'm going to take the children out. We're going to get our chalks on the school playground. We're going to draw these triangles, and we're going to analyse the triangles to see what different types of triangles. So obviously we had, right angle triangles, all kinds of different triangles, isosceles triangles, and it was really, really fun and super engaging. Every single child understood the different types of triangles, and that was my learning goal and my learning objective. And I looked up at the school, because obviously bear in mind we were in the school playground. Looked up at the school, and I could see the head teacher. She was actually watching me outside one of the school windows, and she was, I was thinking, well, she's got to be happy about this, because I'm taking pictures, so I'm going to evidence this in their books, right? And all of the children get it. Even the children that are really low ability, they are so engaged. They are jumping through the circles. They're jumping from triangle to triangle, analysing them. They're shouting out what different types of triangles they are, and they're looking at them, and even the higher ability are, they're talking about all kinds of different things. So the low ability were thriving, the higher ability were really thriving. They were understanding the learning objective. They got the concept, and we were going to go back into the classroom. We had the whiteboard, all the triangles were up on the whiteboard, and then we was going to do some mix and match. And again, that was going to be really interactive as well. And I thought, I've got it. This is the best lesson ever. I'm going to evidence this in their books and print out the photographs later, and then write out what they did, because of course they didn't essentially work in their books. And the teacher, I remember the head teacher came to me on that day after all the children have gone home. This, bearing in mind, this was about 5 o'clock, because I actually wanted to mark the children's books after school as well, instead of taking them home. So it was about 5 o'clock. She came into my room, and I'm thinking, right, I'm gonna get some wicked feedback. Like this is gonna be ace. And she's like, okay, cool, Cordelia, like, what were you doing? I told her all about it, and I told her that everyone got it, and I told her, look, the children that actually barely talk in English, even they got it. They got those 3 words. They could literally tell me what different types of triangles they're drawn. And she was like, no. Well, where's the evidence? I says, look, I've printed out the pictures. I even showed her the pictures. I said, I'm going to evidence them. I'm going to pop them all in their book. And aren't you proud of me? And the children got it. And I says to her, look, tomorrow you can talk to some of the children. And they even stated they at the end of the school day, some of them says to their parents, Dad, we had this phenomenal maths lesson. We went outside, and I could hear them literally talking about that maths lesson. And so it just reminded me of back in the day. I wish I'd been taught like that. And the head teacher, she was not happy at all. She was not happy at all. I don't even know. She didn't even give me a reason. She's like, no, Cordelia, right, I'm gonna come and observe your lessons from now on. And I was just like, okay, cool. So that in itself just showed me that it isn't all about the children, and I wanted it to be all about the children. I wanted them to be enthusiastic. I wanted them to be engaged. I wanted them to love their learning and be excited about their learning and want to do more. Some of those children were like, what are we going to do tomorrow? Can we do something like this tomorrow? I was like, yeah. And it just all fell apart at the end of the day when the head teacher came into my classroom, and she was not happy at all. So I had to scrap the lesson for the next day, because she just wanted their working book. She just wanted them to sit down and do their learning in their books, which I understand. She wanted it to be evidenced, but you can evidence learning in loads of different ways. And I thought that was the whole plan, because it was about the children, right? It was about the children learning, understanding, being able to gather information, moving forward in terms of their learning, and having a great time, learning the subject and remembering it. These guys are going to remember this forever. They're never going to forget that lesson. So that's what I thought it was all about. And I realized sooner rather than later, that's not what it's all about. It's about moving the children through the curriculum as soon as possible. Some of the children will not get it. Some of the children will need to go over it a couple of times until they get it. But that's just kind of like, we have to keep going for those children that do get it. And so, cut a long story short, I ended up really despising teaching, and it's such a shame. I mean, I was teaching probably about 8 subjects as well. So we just didn't have the time to really engage these children in everything that we were doing, and really, we didn't have the time or the energy or the resources. I'd go, I think I remember a few times, I'll go to the head teacher and I was like, right, can we have a few of these or a few learning blocks because we haven't got enough, or a few more Numicon because I want to put them in small groups and I want them to work with the Numicon. And we had to share it between, it was a 4-form entry, so we had 4-year groups for every year. And they were just like, no, the year 6 are using it, no, the year 3 are using it, you can't do it now. And it was just like, you're a school, you are paid to teach these children, and there's not enough resources to teach the children in a way which will support them to actually memorize the content that you're teaching them. And so, long story short, I ended up just really hating teaching. I wasn't able to give enough of myself to these wonderful children that were sitting in front of me, being enthusiastic about their learning. And I kind of felt like my job was to get them to sit down for as long as possible and go through the curriculum and teach at the front, and then just ask them questions and get them to regurgitate what I've taught them. And it wasn't real, it didn't feel like true learning. And so eventually I left teaching after, I think I was in teaching for about 11 years, up and down the country, London, Luton, Birmingham. And so, yeah, I eventually left. And then I thought to myself, I had another child, and I thought to myself, right, I'm going to try and do this myself. And my parents told me that I was crazy. I was like, no, you can't do that. I was like, yeah, do you know what? I'm going to try and do this myself. And so we started, back then it was called Splat Education. And I says, right, I saw my daughter painting, and the way that she was splatting the paint, she was just splatting it everywhere, and her face was lit up with enjoyment and enthusiasm. And I says, yeah, do you know what? Splat. Because that, to me, it kind of, how can I say it? It kind of like showed a child enjoying their learning, because learning is not just in a book. Yes, painting is learning too. Hand and eye coordination, and how to mix colors. It's still learning. It might not be maths and English, but it's still learning. And so, yeah, Splat Education was how it started, and it evolved into Splat Tuition. And so now, fast forward another couple of years, now we have a Saturday school. We teach up to between 20 to 25 children on a Saturday. And we start off with arts and crafts. So they come in the morning, they're enthusiastic, they're like, what are we going to do today? And we've got all the paint. Sometimes we do puppetry, sometimes we do wax resist, can't say now. We do wax resist. We get them to use the stencils. We do so much. We've made brain caps where they're thinking about areas of the brain, and we're talking about the brain and how it works. We've done so much in terms of creativity. And then we move on to maths, and then we move on to English. But the way that we do it is split them up into small groups, no more than 4, which I'm quite proud of, because that's the group size that children need to be able to understand the information and to have that rapport with the person or the tutor or the teacher that they're being taught by. If they have a question, they can just simply pop up their hand, and the tutor's going to see them straight away, and they have the ability to go forwards or backwards or move at the pace that is adequate for that specific child. And that's why we teach on a ratio of 4:1, not 30:1, so much smaller groups. And the way that the children not only understand their learning, but we can say to them, hey, do you know what, let's go to the book corner for a little bit, because we've got a book that relates to that. Or they can say, hey, let's get out your number cards, because you're not quite getting the numbers, so let's do it, do it over on the learning mat over there, or get a cushion to lie on if you're a little bit tired, and we'll still carry on, but you can do it in a different way, which is a little bit more effective. And that is what I love about what we do. It's engaging, and it is for the child. If a child is a little bit tired, they can go into the corner and read a book and get a little snuggle cushion, and they're still learning, because a tutor can take their time out and say, right, we're just going to go over there, we're going to read for a little bit, and we're going to ask some questions. A teacher can get out the learning blocks for however long they want. If they want them for the whole session, they can have them for the whole session. When they go outside and play, they have the ability to take learning outside. When it's a nice hot day, we can stay outside all day if we want to. And that is what I love about what we do, is it is for the child. If parent comes to us and says a child is struggling with A, B, C, we'll say, no problem. We'll stop everything. We'll stop moving through the curriculum as we were, and we will concentrate on that specific thing until your child gets it. And that is one thing that I could never, ever do that in school. I could never say, hey, everyone, we're going to stop. We're going to stop because Charlie over there needs to go back a little bit. We couldn't do that. And so, because there's, 1 to 30, but on 1 to 4, we can do that. I can have a child and I can say, right, we're going to stop your learning for a little bit. We're going to do something a little bit different. I can say to the other children, you can carry on because I'm still watching you. I can still hear you. I can still see you. And yeah, I just love it because it feels like true learning. It feels like true teaching. It feels like we're truly supporting that individual child. We know all the children. We know what they like. We know their dislikes. We can ask them what they've had for breakfast or whether they've had a good sleep. They can tell us about their holiday. If they're feeling a little bit down because their parents gone on holiday and they're not quite back, we can give them a little hug if they want to. But we really truly get to know that child on an individual basis. It's not, right, I'm like kind of busy now, like come back to me during playtime, and you can never go back to them during playtime because they're busy marking books. So yeah, that's how I went from a child hating school to founder of Splat Tuition, which I absolutely love. We've got so many more things that we're working on at the moment. For example, I'm working on a book which is going to support parents to be able to teach their children in a fun, engaging, interactive way, which enables them to do creativity, which shows them exactly what to do, how to do it, which supports them with the terminology, which supports them with taking them outside and playing outside as well, and not just doing everything in the book. It's amazing. I'm working on it at the moment, and it will be released, all being well, September 2024. So I haven't really got that much time, so I've got to keep working on it. And then we're having the summer camp as well. Summer Camp 2024, that's going to be running as well, where we're having children for a little bit longer. I believe it's about 3.5 hours. So again, we'll just be able to stretch out, really have a good time with the children, of course, while they're learning as well. And yeah, it's been a phenomenal journey from where I started as a child struggling, really struggling, to now supporting those children that may be struggling and giving them the time to say, hey, stop. It's okay that you're struggling. We're going to support you. In fact, you're not even struggling. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing for where you are right now. Let's find out any learning gaps. Let's help you move through them. Let's support you where you need support, and let's get going. And that's the thing that I love about Splat Tuition, is because we can truly support not just the children, but the parents as well. If a parent needs a chat with us at any point in time, we can have a 5 minute, 10 minutes. Sometimes I've had half an hour chats with parents whenever they need to. I do say sometimes they need to wait for a little bit until other parents have gone, but we always take the time to build up that rapport with the children and the parents, because at the end of the day, a learning journey is not just all about the child. The parent has to be on board as well. So it's parent, child, tutor, educator, whoever's supporting them, and possibly even the teachers as well, if they're on board, if they have the time. So this is Cordelia Cooper. That's my journey. And yeah, I hope that's, I don't know, possibly inspired anyone. If you do have any questions, and obviously you just pop them below and I will get back to you as soon as possible. But yeah, I mean, in fact, check out our website and let me know what you think about what we do, and how I went from struggling in school to founder of this phenomenal business called Splat Tuition. That's it for now, and I will definitely see you on the next one. Thank you for listening. See you later. Bye.